Okay, I think we'll go ahead and get started. I was trying to get the stream going for YouTube. I know some students are having issues accessing the aula virtual and accessing today's class. So uh, we're going to go ahead and try to stream this via YouTube for those who are having issues trying to get into the class today. So hello everyone, Jamilka. Hello Mariana and Marcela. Today,
Hello.
guys, what we want to try to do Hello. What we want to try to do is finish our assignment for this week. I want to give you most of today in class to complete this assignment. We've been spending this entire week trying to prepare first about how to do an interview. You chose a family member to conduct an interview based on education, based on their experiences, with the sole purpose of trying to get to know something new about the person, even though you know this person probably your whole life. Then the idea is to try to find out something new about the person. So hopefully, throughout your interview, throughout your conversations, you were able to find out something that you didn't know before. Okay, hopefully you were able to do that. We want to know how this person ticks, right? What motivates this person? What drives this person to be who he is or who she is? So today we're going to finish our activity that we started yesterday. We started yesterday developing a reported speech, basically writing out a paragraph to describe your questions that you posed to your family member, and also to report on how he or she responded to your questions. Remember that the paragraph is going to begin with a topic sentence. And I want to share my screen now to show you an example of a way that you can create your topic sentence, the first sentence of your paragraph, to represent the main idea of your paragraph. So let's take a look here. I'm going to open up a document. I don't know if I have it open up. No, I don't. Okay, so let me open this up here, and you can access the same example, the same file, if you wish, or just refer to it on my screen. And let's see, if we go into week 11 and wait for it, wait for it. My internet today's a little on the slow side. Okay, so we have a file folder called interview guides. If we go into this and we wait, and let's see, here should be this document. Interview guide, third copy. This was just one I chose at random. And wait for it. All right. So remember that the interview guide that we started working on this past Tuesday had a section at the top that included general information about the interview. And this was still at the point where we were planning on the interview. We were preparing for the interview in order to try to get the most out of it. And some of the information that we included is listed here. So the person that you interviewed, the reasoning why you interviewed the person. We had other information like the date and so on. But here I have an example, and I tried to take some of the information from this section in order to develop the main idea of my paragraph. So I provided here two examples that you might want to consider when you're developing your own topic sentence for your own paragraph. So the first example, I'll read it out and then we'll look at it. Uh, we'll look at it more in greater detail. So the first example, I decided to interview my brother because I knew he always wanted to open his own restaurant, but never realized the work and dedication he endured to. So notice that there are essentially two parts of this this sentence, this topic sentence. The first part, I decided to interview my brother before I knew, because I knew he always wanted to open his own restaurant. So in this first clause, I've mentioned who the interviewee is. So it's my brother, right? Now I don't necessarily have to name or give him a name. I can just refer to him as my brother, and then I can use pronouns later on. If you want to mention the person's name, that's fine also. But I have here basically why I chose to interview the person, right? And so this is coming from, again, this section here, this part of the interview guide. I was curious about, I knew that he had opened up his own restaurant. So I have some knowledge of his experience, what he went through already, right? So this is something that I know about the person already. But it also explains why I wanted to interview the person. Now, the next section, the next clause, but I never realized the work and dedication he endured to achieve his professional goals. So notice the second part I'm getting from some information that could have come from this part of the interview guide, surprising aspects about the interview. Maybe there were some things I didn't realize. I was surprised by what he went through, and maybe later you can talk in detail about what he said, what you asked about that surprising aspect. If we look at the second example, it's very similar. I wanted to interview my grandmother because she always used to discuss coming from a poor upbringing, but I never knew that she also had fond memories of growing up as a dancer, right? So again, there's two parts to this topic sentence. Part of it is something that I already knew about my, in this case, my grandmother. So this was information that provides a rationale, reasoning, right? Maybe there's something I just wanted. This is the reason why I interviewed the person, because I wanted to know more about her upbringing. She had a rough childhood, and so I wanted to learn more about that. But maybe she provided something different and that I was surprised about. I didn't realize, let's say, that she had a lot of opportunities. Even though she came from a poor background, she was able to take dance lessons. She was able maybe to do performances you didn't know about, right? So these are just examples, but notice that there are two basic parts to the structures of these sentences. Explaining the reasoning why you wanted to interview the person, and it also reflects information that you already knew about the person. It obviously mentions who the person is that you interviewed. And then in the second part, it introduces something that was surprising. It doesn't go into detail, just generally reflects something new, something surprising, something that you didn't know before. And I think it would be a good idea to include that in your topic sentence. And you can use these as a sample. You can say something very similar and just insert your own specific information as necessary. But I wanted to give you guys kind of an example of how I would approach your topic sentence for this assignment. And then after you have your topic sentence, this is where then you're going to introduce your questions and then their responses, and then your reflection, your comments. Maybe you explain, well, why did this happen, or maybe however you feel about the responses. But it's very important to include these three types of sentences in this assignment, in this paragraph. Again, the question, the indirect question, the responses that your interviewee provided you, and then your reflection. And you present these three in an organized fashion. Now, what do I mean by an organized fashion? Well, the question needs to come before the responses. All right. So after your topic sentence, after this example here I've provided, the very next sentence, the second sentence, needs to introduce an indirect question. Okay, I'll say that again. The second sentence of your paragraph needs to introduce your first introduction question, right? And then you present the responses. What did they say? You can paraphrase or you can direct quote what they told you, right? And I think yesterday we looked at some examples about how to do that. And then you can decide, do I want to go ahead and introduce the second question and provide additional responses and then go back and forth between indirect questions and results and then leave my comments to the very end, right? That's certainly acceptable. You can do it that way. Or you can introduce your feedback, your comments, your reflection throughout the paragraph by saying, for example, indirect question, response, and then your reflection. Indirect question, their responses, and your reflection, your comments, right? Another follow up question, their response, and your interpretation, your comments, your viewpoints. How do you feel about their response? All right. So this is kind of a summary of what I would try to think about when you're developing this paragraph. You're basically a reporter, right? Think of yourself as a reporter. You're reporting what you asked, what you said. You're reporting what they said, and then you're offering an interpretation. What does it mean to you? How do you feel about those responses, etc.? All right. Any questions, guys, about the interview guide, about the paragraph that we're working on, or even the how to access if you're having issues accessing the wiki, the individual wiki? Any questions, guys? No? All right. So I'm going to give you guys the rest of today. Also, I want to shout out to all of you who responded to the question. Maybe we can look at that real quick. I forgot about that. There was a question that I posed in Microsoft Teams asking whether or not what kind of sentence this is. I provided an example and wanted to encourage one to respond if you haven't already to that request. Let me pull it up here real quick. Because remember, one of the requirements for this assignment is to make sure that all of your sentences are either a complex sentence, a compound sentence, or a compound complex sentence. In other words, try to avoid writing simple sentences for the purpose of this assignment. And the question was, I provided an example of a sentence asking everyone to respond as to what kind of sentence it was. And many of you answered it was a complex sentence. If it is a complex sentence, why do you think it's a complex sentence? What makes it a complex sentence? And you could even include information about how many clauses are there, what kind of clauses are there. All right. So again, if you haven't already, feel free to respond. Here's the post that was posted, I think, last night, I believe. I think. Yes. All right. There's been a lot of responses so far, but I want to give just a more time if anyone wants to chime in, go in and add a comment. Again, it was posted last night at 8:32. Feel free to go into Microsoft Teams, and I'm interested in what you have to say, your interpretation. What do you think about this example here as it's posted in Microsoft Teams? If you have a few minutes, you want to leave a response, I encourage you to do so. I'll follow up after more of you have had a chance to look at this example. I will say that it is a complex sentence, but let us know why it is a complex sentence, what makes it complex, and I'm interested in hearing from you for to see what you think about this particular example. All right, I'll go ahead and mic, guys. If you want me to look at something, if you have any questions, I'll be in the platform myself looking at responses, looking at your individual wikis, and leave comments in some of your cases. So if you're in your wiki, if you're working in your wiki, make sure you're checking the comments. If I leave any comments, I'll leave them there within the wiki. Of course, if you're not in the virtual classroom, make sure that you get in at some point this morning between 9 and 10 o'clock during our normal class period so that you are receiving credit for attendance. All right, I'm going to go ahead and mute my mic. Let me know, guys, if you want me to, if you have any questions about. Okay, guys, just a quick reminder that if when you complete your paragraph, make sure that you include your paragraph that you're going to upload as an assignment and the outline that you completed beforehand, and make sure that that is in your individual wiki. This is also part of the requirement for this week's assignment. All right. Then once you have completed the paragraph, and again, I can look at that and provide you some feedback if you have completed it already, copy and paste that paragraph in the assignment that's located under the assignment tab here in our virtual classroom under week 11. It's called reported speech. And you'll copy and paste the paragraph that you completed in your individual wiki and upload it here to this assignment. All right, you'll notice that it has a due date of tomorrow. So I'm going to give everyone all day tomorrow if you need it. If you've already finished your assignment, obviously go ahead and submit all day. I'm going to give everyone all day tomorrow to complete this assignment. But make sure that you pay close attention to the instructions as they're listed here. These are the same instructions that I included in the wiki assignment. Okay, just copied and pasted that over. And again, make sure that you have an outline and you have your paragraph in your individual wiki. I'll be checking before I submit the grade that you have your outline. Remember that the outline should be embedded like I have here. So you'll have the question posted here, and then the responses should follow underneath each of these bullet points. All right, so again, it's very easy to do that. You can actually use the tab on your keyboard to basically indent and create those sub bullet points. So again, if I hit enter and tab, whoops, let me try it again. Enter and tab, let's try it again. So here we have my question, and then you can hit the tab, and then it will create a sub bullet, and then you have the response here. Maybe you have a follow-up question based on one of the responses, then you hit enter and then tab again, and then you introduce your follow-up question, and then maybe there's a response to the follow-up question. Okay, so try to use this the bullet points in this way whenever you're creating your outline for your paragraph. Again, you can choose the order in which you either the order in which you presented the questions in the interview, or if it way, feel free to organize it however you wish in the outline. If you guys have any questions, want me to look at any of your paragraphs, or if you have questions about any of the, want me to take a look at what you have, let me know and I'll give you some feedback.
Hi, Benjamin. Benjamin,
Yes, Mariana, go ahead.
can you give me some feedback on my paragraph. I didn't finish it yet, but I did
Okay.
like a little introduction, so I want to see if that is okay, please.
Sure. I'm going to go ahead and mute my mic, but I'm going to tell we need to discuss. I'll discuss it or I'll just post something. So just give me 1 second. I'll take a look at it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, Mariana, I'm taking a look here at your paragraph, and I would like to draw your attention first to your first sentence, your topic sentence. If you recall, and let me go back to the example that we looked at a few minutes ago. I'd like for you to compare my example with with your example. One of the key reasons for doing this interview is to try to find out something new from someone in your life that you already know quite well. Right? So try to keep that in mind when you're developing your topic sentence in particular, because in try to include essentially two main parts or aspects. Right? If you look at my example here, I decided to interview my brother because I always wanted to find out restaurant. And then here's the second part. But I never realized the work and dedication he endured. I never realized that. It's basically, I'm saying I didn't know something. I learned my brother that I didn't know beforehand. Right. In the second example, I knew my grandmother always had a poor upbringing, but I never knew that she was had fond memories. I didn't know that. I actually learned something from her that we had never discussed before. And the questions, some of her responses talk about that fact, talk about how she grew up as a dancer. And so later in my paragraph, I'm going to reveal that information. So I hope, Mariana, in your case with your interview, that you were able to find out something new, something that you were not aware of from the person that you interviewed. And if that is the case, and if you were able to learn something new from the person that you interviewed, your dad in this case, then that's what I would recommend that you try to reflect or that you include in your first sentence. Right. And again, think about trying to summarize. Let me go back here again to the example. Basically, try to summarize anything that you have here in this first section in the first sentence. All right. So, because I would rather you get question, I'm sorry, the first indirect question, I would rather you get to the first indirect question from the second sentence immediately sentence. Now, you don't have to include all the information in this section, right? If it just is too much to include the date and the location and and all of this, fine. But I think I would at least try to include, for example, here where it says surprising aspects of the interview, maybe the reasoning why you interviewed this person. Interviewed. I think that's the most important information to try to include in the one sentence that you're going to use to introduce the main idea of your. All right, does that make sense, Mariana?
Yes. Yes, yes.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome. If anyone else has wants me to look at some aspect of your paragraph, it doesn't matter if it's finished or not. If you have a specific question that you want me to that you want to address, let me know.
Can you check the mind, Ben?
Sure, Danny. Just give me 1 second.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so Danny, I'm taking a look here at your your paragraph here that you uploaded, and I immediately like how you labeled the grammatical structures. So just a reminder, I didn't mention that yet today, to remember to also identify the different grammatical structures based on the instructions up here. For example, the reduced adjective clause, we want to make sure we underline conditionals in bold text. Make sure that you include your indirect questions and put those in a green color, and make sure that you italicize your sentence connectors or your transitions more generally. Now, the thing I want to look at here first, Danny, is your first sentence, your topic sentence. Again, try to use my example. And if you guys want to use pretty much the same structure as I have included in my example, like if you want to all start, I wanted to interview, that's fine, right? If you want to use a very similar grammatical structured sentence as I have provided in this example, that's fine. I would much rather you do that and include basically two main. Again, the first part is tell us why you wanted to interview the person that you did, right? So mention who you interviewed and why. That's basically what I did in the first part, this first clause here. And then in the second clause, I revealed something that was surprising that I learned that I did not know beforehand. And so, Danny, that would be, I think, my first suggestion is just take another look at that first sentence and see if if you can involve both of these pieces of information, both information as to the reasoning why you interviewed the person, and also something new, something that you did not know about the person prior to the interview, right? And again, just try to do it all in one sentence. And then the second sentence, I would like for you to go ahead and introduce the first indirect question. Now, I noticed here you've correctly identified your first indirect question by putting it in green. So it says here, I asked. All right. So that would be my second sentence, essentially. So maybe there's a way to combine the first two sentences that you have, taking in shared with you guys today. And again, just try to focus as much as you can on information that you knew about the person and the reasoning why, and also anything new. Because really the main thing to the reasoning for doing this whole interview is to try to find out something new about the person that you already know quite well, someone that you've probably spent your whole life with. You've known this person maybe your whole life, or at least for a long time, and you want to still learn something new from this person. Okay, so this is what I'm hoping you get out of this task, is that you're able to discuss and report, right, in the form of an interview, this new information about this person. Okay, does that make sense, Denny? Okay, guys, we're getting close to the end of the class. I want to conclude by asking again if there are any questions about today's task. I wanted to review again what we want to try to achieve for this task, for an assignment for this week. We want to first make sure that we have our outline completed in our personalized wiki, preferably an embedded type of outline where we have uh, an outline that begins with the questions that we asked, and then underneath each question that we asked, the response that replies to that question. And then hopefully you had some follow-up questions that you can include in your embedded outline that you could also put as a sub bullet point to those responses. Okay, so we need to have completed the outline in the wiki. Now, the paragraph, please make sure that the paragraph in your personalized wiki appears at the top. It appears above the outline. All right, so when you open up the wiki, your paragraph should appear at the top and the outline should appear at the bottom. All right, so that's the first thing. Once you have completed the paragraph, then copy and paste it and upload it as an assignment in week 11 in the virtual classroom. The assignment is called reported speech, and you can just copy and paste the text in the assignment itself. There's no file to upload or attach. It's just copy and paste the text and then submit it for a grade. I'm going to give everyone an extra day, all day tomorrow if you need it. If you have already completed the assignment, feel free to upload it beforehand, of course, but I will give everyone until basically midnight, 11:59 Saturday night to complete this assignment that we've been working on the last few days. Are there any questions about the assignment? All right, if there are no more questions, then I guess we'll stop there. If you do have any issues, of course, continue to contact me via the chat and I'll follow up. We're probably, because we're getting close to the due date, won't have much time for receiving additional feedback from me for this assignment. So again, if it's something serious or you just want to talk about it, we can discuss it outside of class. But go ahead and try to finish, and don't wait for me to follow up with any more feedback at this point, simply because we're getting close to the due date. All right. So we'll stop there, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. Of course, enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you guys on Monday.
Bye. Thank you.